Welcome back to the 38th online episode of Peace Time, hosted every Sunday morning by Peace Point with myself, Phra Nicholas Thanissaro, live streaming from Dhammakaya International Meditation Center in Azusa, California. Last time you saw me, we looked at meditation and its benefits. And with the Dhamma talk today, we will revisit one of my earlier broadcasts from 2020 entitled Aim in Life and the Five Hindrances, to make some repairs to the recording. So today's session will run to about an hour and a quarter with 20 minutes talk, half an hour meditation, and then finishing up with 25 minutes of viewer questions and news updates. As usual, in case anyone out there is actually listening this session, I would encourage you to send in any questions you have by emailing me at peacetime.questions@gmail.com so that I can have a shot at answering those questions next time round. So let's start by looking at purpose in life. Did you ever feel that life is passing you by at an alarming pace? All of us started off as a mere baby, grew up to go to elementary school and then to high school. Some of us went to college to get a degree, and with that, the expectation that a nice degree would get us a nice job. And with a nice income, we would get a nice partner, and before long, you could have your own family. But then you find yourself getting older, and the doctor starts to visit you more frequently. And then they bury you under the ground, and if you're lucky, perhaps there will be some people who still remember you well enough to come and put flowers on your grave. Without intending to be overly morbid, such a whistle-stop overview of life forces us to consider whether there should be more to life than this. If we are not careful, it's as if life is living us instead of us living our lives. The short spate of life we can have will pass us by in the blink of an eye without us achieving the things we really wanted to do. At the end of the day, we will regret not having done more with our life than really mattered to us. Each day of our lives is made up of 24 hours. But how much of that time do we spend asleep? 5 hours, 6 hours? For some people, it's as much as 10 hours a day. But on average, it's about 8 hours. How much of our time do we spend working or studying? For most people, it is an 8-hour day, and that doesn't include any overtime you might have to do. So it's 16 hours of your 24-hour day already gone without even starting to do the things that matter to you. What do you spend the remaining 8 hours of your day doing? Walking up and down, cooking, eating, doing the dishes, chatting, or binging box sets. Before you know it, you can find the whole of your 24 hours is filled up with things of no great value to you. If it were only a single day, it wouldn't matter that much. But over the course of a lifetime, this might be all you manage to achieve in your life. If this is a case, where will you find the time to meditate? If you're lucky enough to live for 60 years, according to a recent survey, on average, people will have spent 29 years connected to their online life. They will have spent 25 years asleep. They will have spent 17 years trying to lose weight. They will have spent 4.8 years with their friends and family, 2.5 years cooking, a whole year picking out outfits, 5 months grumbling, and only 115 days of their entire life laughing. Thus you can see that our assumption that life is long is definitely disingenuous. We are reckless to think that life is long. You can see that we need to organize our time properly if we are to find time to develop the quality of our minds. You need to make time to meditate. You need to carve out space in your life for your own self-development. Otherwise, old age will creep up on you, leaving you with aches and pains, fatigue, shortness of breath, and no opportunity or energy to devote yourself to your self-development. even if you have the time for it when you're retired. What can you do if you would like to achieve more from life, but you never seem to have time? One way is to add clarity to your priorities and aims in life. It helps to protect us from interruptions in our life which are urgent but not important, like a ringing phone that can upset the whole pace of our lives. Such interruptions can leave us unable to organize our time the way we'd wish. Sometimes these interruptions are really unavoidable, but at other times we give them so much importance and put them too high on our list of priorities so that they end up robbing us of our time. One reason why we are unable to set the priorities we want is because we lack clear perspective on the things we really value. With meditation, we are dealing with a practice and a tradition which has lifelong consequences for us. Therefore, for the practice of meditation and for setting up complementary priorities in life, we cannot afford to overlook a clear perspective of our own lives. We call such an overview our aim in life. If, as meditators, we have a clear aim in life, as intelligent human beings, we will be able to use our wisdom to plan out our lives according to our priorities. If we have no priorities and no direction, more often than not, life will pass us by as if on autopilot. Having clear aim in life will ideally include plans for our life on 3 different levels: the worldly, heavenly, and transcendental levels. Everybody comes into the world with nothing, but everyone has the same basic needs for survival, whether it be food on our plates, the clothes on our backs, the roof over our head, or the medicine we need to keep us healthy in times of illness. If any one of these things are lacking from people's lives, they cannot survive. According to the law of threes, you can survive 3 minutes without breathable air, 3 hours in an extreme environment, 3 days without drinkable water, and 3 weeks without food. This is why it's only natural that, at the very least, people should aim to be self-sufficient in their basic physical needs. If their aim in life is any lower than this, then they cannot survive, or they become a burden on other people. Of course, some people are not satisfied with just surviving. They may want to be millionaires. They may want creature comfort, to realize the American dream and retire at 40. In fact, just however much or little you want, whether it is just to fulfill your physical needs or to satisfy your physical wants, such an aim in life is still quite short-sighted. It is based on immediate rewards: to eat, drink, and be merry. In their youth, people seek experience. In their middle age, they amass wealth. Towards the end of their life, they try to find an heir for their wealth. Such aims in life are called worldly because they extend no further than this world and this existence. Those who entertain only such an aim in life should at least make sure they earn their living in an honest way by earning, saving, and using their earnings in a responsible way, and entrusting honest people to look after shared wealth. Nonetheless, to go beyond the limitations of the worldly aim in life, fulfilling the physical needs of the body, to avoid a meaningless life, it is important to have an aim in life that runs deeper than that. While recognizing that we can't avoid earning a living, we have to accept that our salary is only a means to an end. While we all suffer from physical hunger, we also suffer to a greater or lesser extent from a hunger of the spirit or the mind as well. If the mind is left hungry, it will deprive your life of a sense of meaning, the upshot of which is that alongside your worldly pursuits, you also need to find time to reach toward a higher spiritual dimension. Achieving a sense of meaning in life is facilitated by having a heavenly level of aim in life. There are 5 ways you can build a heavenly dimension into a busy life. The first is having a part-time pursuit of your spiritual aims. You might set aside a certain time of your day to pursue the spiritual dimension of your life, perhaps at a particular time of the day, maybe in the morning or in the evening, to meditate uninterrupted by other activities. If you can't find a little time every day, instead you might try taking time out especially, otherwise known as a sabbatical pursuit of the spiritual dimension of your life. You might set aside certain periods of your life to devote yourself entirely to the spiritual dimension. Some devote their youth to spiritual pursuits, but need to spend the rest of their life looking after their own family. Some devote their middle age to spiritual pursuits, while in their youth and in their old age, they work simply for their more immediate physical needs. Some take a year out after college. The more time in that period they can devote to their spiritual pursuits, the more they can learn, just like a university professor needs to take research sabbaticals from time to time. Otherwise, they'll have nothing new to teach to their students. The third way is to have a selective career path that will facilitate your spiritual values. You might adopt a particular career or job where you can make a real difference to the world or other people's lives. Usually, such jobs don't pay as well as the ones that are part of the rat race. For example, you probably earn more as an accountant than as a nurse. But as an accountant, you may not feel as spiritually uplifted when you are tired at the end of a long day at work. Another potentially easy way to reclaim time for spiritual matters is to simplify your relational ties. In other words, to have a minimum of family ties or dependents. This doesn't mean abandoning your responsibility to your parents, but however spiritually inclined your family may be, it will always compromise your ability to elevate the quality of the mind. If you have a small family or no children or stay single, then you will have more freedom to pursue your spiritual development single-mindedly. Supposing you want to use your life to the full in the pursuit of the practice of generosity, and supposing you want to make regular donations to a good cause, you will always have to weigh up how much you're able to give without impacting other aspects of your life. It depends on the number of ties in your life, what proportion of every $100 you can afford to give to charity. If you're single and live alone, at most you'll be able to give $50 to charity. But once you're married, you will only be able to give $5. If you have a child, you will only be able to give a single dollar. And if you have 2 or 3 children, then you will be hard pushed to give anything. In the same way as making donations, the free time you have to pursue things that interest you will also decrease in proportion to the number of ties you have. A final way to integrate spirituality into your life, if none of the other time-consuming aspects suit you, is to have an uplifting attitude to material possessions. You might cultivate skillful spending of your earnings in order to uplift the mind. Whichever way you set up your life as a householder who seeks to elevate the quality of your mind, you'll have to adapt the values you believe in, especially concerning how you spend what you can earn. If you spend a lot on possessions, so that means the things you have, you will often compromise on the quality of your spirit, which refers to your experiences or the things that you are. There is a choice in life that is encapsulated in the title of the 1976 book by Erich Fromm, between to have or to be. It is perhaps best reflected in the trend amongst many millennials these days to choose to rent a place to live in instead of buying, and who would rather spend money on new experiences than weigh themselves down with new possessions. In the way we use our earnings, it is not so important how much or how rich, but how the money is spent. Supposing you get your first pay packet. If you had no interest in the quality of your mind, you'd probably selfishly spend your first pay packet on luxuries like aftershave or lipstick. However, wouldn't it be more uplifting to use the same amount of money to buy a gift to show your gratitude to your parents? The expense in both cases may be the same, but the feeling is very different. In the first case, the money does nothing to elevate the quality of the mind or the quality of society. In the second case, however, the use of money brings comfort and joy to those parents and strengthens the bonds of gratitude in society. No matter whether the pay packet is large or small, the important denominator for raising the quality of the mind is the amount left at the end of the month, and how much of this can be shared for the benefit of others or the benefit of society. Such aims in life are known as heavenly because they extend further than the mundane world and this existence. Those who entertain a strong spiritual aim in life will usually cultivate the faith or confidence that doing good deeds is of some benefit. They must not exploit or take advantage of their fellow man. They should be generous and they should try to become wiser as they go through life. Last of all, there are those whose awareness of the hunger in the mind is so great that they need to deal with the hunger at its root. So great is the intensity of their calling that they seek opportunities to devote themselves full-time to the pursuit of spirituality, not just to improve their sense of meaning in life, but to reach spiritual perfection. They hope to purify themselves so completely that the hunger in the mind may be completely extinguished. They have to have sufficient time to devote to spiritual study without having to compromise their time in order to earn a living. They will spend their time learning the spiritual way and teaching it to the best of their ability, so intensively that the life of the householder and the family no longer holds any attraction for them. Such a level of aim in life is known as transcendental because it's like the express lane that seeks to bring a person to the end of all further suffering and to help others to do the same. This is mostly the domain of monks and nuns, but it can also be sampled by spending time following 8 precepts or participating in a meditation retreat. Often we go through life without much thought of the direction. Some feel that they would rather go with the flow, going wherever life takes them. However, to live life like this risks never fulfilling the things that really we are looking for in life. Often we assume life will be long and that we will always have the opportunity to change our path. The inconvenient truth, though, is that we probably have less time than we think. In the words of one young meditator from Thailand, even if you play a game of chess, you still have to have a plan in your mind of what you're going to do several moves in advance, and that is only a chess game. So what about the reality of our lives when we cannot decide to suddenly have a do-over? What is happening in our lives is gone for good. No one can afford to live their life by trial and error with no thought of where their life is heading. Did you ever give any thought to your own life and what you expect to achieve by the end of your life? Or if you don't want to think that far ahead, did you ever plan what you would like to achieve by the time you reach the age of 25 or 40 or 60? Some of the things in our lives will happen automatically by themselves, without us making any special effort. And in such a case, we will have a probable lifeline. It will be the sort of life which happens to you by default if you don't attempt to call the shots. However, if you are a person who likes to take control of those precious moments that pass you by with every in-breath and every out-breath, why not take a few moments to plan what sort of life you would choose to see for yourself? The sort of life you could look back on in your dotage with pride and contentment, not the sort of life where you look back on it and wish that you could have your time all over again. This would be something that you could refer to as your possible lifeline. In your possible lifeline, Try to include something from each of the 3 levels I discussed earlier, worldly, heavenly, and transcendental, at each stage in your life. From person to person, the emphasis might be more on the worldly level, heavenly level, or transcendental level, depending on your personal preferences. You may think that aim in life and meditation might be completely disconnected from one another. But as you reflect more wisely on your life, an ability that comes as a natural byproduct of getting to know yourself through meditation, you will find that your aim in life takes on more clarity. So now, to see if we can gain some clarity on our own aim in life, let's take a break halfway for some meditation, which today is entitled World Peace Through Inner Peace. So at this time, we settle ourselves down for half an hour meditation. If you'd like to find a comfortable sitting position for yourself now, as you listen to my guidance.
So we are going to sit now for meditation. If you'd like to find a comfortable position for yourself in meditation, having done chanting in homage to the Triple Gem, from this moment forth, all of us should do our best to realign our minds with the pathway towards nirvana. Sit in a cross-legged position, with your right leg on your left leg, your right hand on your left hand, the index finger of your right hand touching against the thumb of your left hand, with your hands resting palm upwards on your lap. And close your eyes very gently. Close your eyes gently, as if you were only half closing them, almost as if you were closing your eyes to go to sleep. Never squeeze your eyes closed, and make sure there's no pressure around your eyes. Fill your mind with happiness and joy. And suppose that inside your body is bright and clear, free of any sort of worries or anxieties, with no worries about anything at all. Imagine that inside your body is just a hollow cavity, and feel as if you were sitting alone in empty space, without any organs or tissues, without any muscles or bones, as if it is completely empty inside yourself, spacious, like a hollow cavity inside yourself, rather like a crystal tube or a diamond pipe, clear and bright, transparent inside yourself, as if the surface of your body is as delicate and clear as a bubble, hollow, with an empty space inside yourself, like a crystal or a diamond tube. And we bring our mind together at the center of our body, at a standstill, at the center of our body, the 7th base of the mind, which is approximately in the middle of our stomach, 2 fingers above the level of our navel. To be precise, you can imagine that you take 2 thin threads, one running from your navel directly through your back, the other running from the right side to the left side, so that the 2 threads come to an intersection at the center of the body. The intersection is no larger than the eye of a needle, 2 finger breadths above the intersection is a point we call the 7th base of the mind. To see this point clearly, your mind has first to be at a standstill, which means that we must have no further thoughts. But in practice, we can approximate to this point, or we can just focus our mind anywhere in the center of our stomach, giving it the benefit of the doubt, anywhere which feels right for you. And later, when the mind becomes more refined, it will come precisely to the center of its own accord. Today, as we meditate, we'll take the opportunity to explore the greater implications of meditation towards quality of life and quality of the environment, in contrast to the opinion often put about that meditation is selfish and is running away from the problems of the world. The existence of defilements in the mind, such as greed, hatred and delusion, affects not only the quality of our mind, but also the quality of our life, and even has an effect on the environment around us. The quality of the mind affects the environment rather than vice versa, because our actions affect the world we live in on 3 different levels of description, otherwise known as the world of formations, or Sankhara Loka, the world of beings, or Satta Loka, and the world of location, or Okasa Loka. When we talk about the world of formations, we mean the body, which is home to our mind. The quality of our mind affects our physical health and our longevity, as we can see from studies on meditation, which show improved rates of convalescence in patients who meditate regularly. When we talk about the world of beings, we talk about the nature or disposition of all beings in the world. Often the tendencies to aggression, which bring about war in the first place, can be bypassed completely if those making the decisions in the world have their mind calmed by meditation the whole of the time. When we talk about the world of location, we mean the quality and abundance of the physical environment we inhabit. Of course, it means pollution in the atmosphere and destruction of the rainforests. But in Buddhism, we see that such environmental damage is just a symptom of damage which is going on much deeper in the human mind. And if the minds of people in the world were purer, then the environment would automatically become free of ecological problems. Thus, the importance of events like Earth Day or World Meditation Day is that large numbers of people the world over sit for meditation to benefit the world as a whole. They are celebrations of meditation when we share the benefits of our meditation for everybody in the world. Some misunderstand that for a person to meditate is antisocial, or is escaping from the problems of the world. But such events show that meditators also have a social conscience and have their own solutions to problems which often go unsolved by conventional methods. When we have increased defilements in our minds, we are unable to take control of our lives, to live it to the fullest of our potential, and even our lifespans are shortened. This is no exaggeration, but can be explained by the fact that when we act under the influence of defilements in the mind, we live by trial and error. We don't know what is damaging to ourselves and what is not. Thus, in our process of trial and error, we do more damage than good to ourselves, our lives, and the environment. The quality of the mind decreases. The environment suffers from the acts of greed, exploitation, and pollution that result. People are impatient in the harvest of crops, and in their greed they use more and more chemicals to hurry the growth of the crops. Eventually, the food becomes contaminated, reducing our lifespan as a result. In the end, the chemicals build up in the bodies of the consumers, leading to shortened lifespan. There are implications not only towards our lives, but also towards the environment. Some find it difficult to believe that defilements in the mind can have an effect on the quality of the atmosphere. But if you don't believe it for yourself, try comparing the atmosphere of a room used regularly for meditation and compare it with a bar in a nightclub. The temperature in both rooms might be the same, but the vibration is different. The vibration can be changed by something as seemingly insignificant as an argument. Thus, anywhere where defilements have got the upper hand, the atmosphere will be spoiled. And when the atmosphere is spoiled, the rain doesn't fall according to the season. In ancient times, they acknowledged this interconnectedness, and so, whenever there was any problem with the lack of rainfall, they would call a meeting of everybody in the country and agree for everybody to upgrade the quality of their conduct. They would do chanting, meditate, spread loving kindness, give alms, and keep the precepts. And when they did this, usually within the space of 7 days, the rain would fall. Nowadays, though, it's not often that everybody in a particular place would be so unified and cooperative in doing good deeds, such as keeping the precepts, or giving alms, or meditating together. Nowadays, it is hard to find people gathering together in large numbers to do anything constructive. All you see is people coming together in a mob to protest about this or that. All they manage to do by their efforts is to make the atmosphere even worse. Thus, if you want to discover the way to solve the problems in the proper way, such as getting to the root of the problems of the environment in the same way the ancients used to do, then we should give first priority to eradicating defilements from the mind. It is for this reason that in the Buddhist concepts of old, people saw that the pollution of the mind through defilements extrapolated to pollution in our lives with problems of immorality, and the pollution of the natural environment with poisons. It is for this reason that the World Fellowship of Buddhist Youth decided to adopt Hiroshima Day, the 6th of August each year, as a day of peace in the world, calling it World Meditation Day. Because although Buddhists around the world might not agree on the calendar dates for Vesak, Magha Puja Day, or Katina, all agree that by meditating together, the world can become a more peaceful place. Meditation will help all the people of the world to discover peace inside themselves, to the point that they will be able to attain true wisdom. Once they have mindfulness and wisdom, they will realize their true purpose in life, and they will be able to set proper priorities in life, leading their lives without harming one another. They will have compassion towards one another. Therefore, World Meditation Day is a great opportunity for all of us to spread loving kindness and share the benefits of our merit for all the people of the world, with a wish that they too may attain true peace inside, that inner peace may be the basis of world peace, that they may overcome all their aggression and ill will in harming one another, so that their minds may be filled with loving kindness and compassion that they will be willing to share what they have with others. Similarly, Earth Day, on the 22nd of April each year, which throughout the world is a festival when everyone recollects that it's about time that we ought to take better care of our planet. Again, we see care for the world on all three levels of meaning. By sitting together for meditation to cultivate purity and clarity, which is refined in our mind and can be enlarged to the world on all three levels: the level of the body, the level of the community of beings, and the level of the environment too. Something that can start from inside our very own minds, to purify the earth on all three levels, even to the extent that the planets, the stars, the sun, the moon and the galaxies, even the cosmos, reaching all beings irrespective of race, creed, nationality or religion, so that all may be purified completely of all forms of decay. All of these things start out from our bright, clear mind inside ourselves, and it's the starting point for the seed of peace on our planet. This is why we have to bring about real peace in the world by this method, because the real peace comes from the peace inside ourselves. World peace must come from inner peace, and this peace will enlarge continuously to bring real peace in the world. We have to practice peace and enlarge peace from the inside out, by cultivating our mind in a bright and a peaceful way. We have to start by aligning our mind with the inner peace inside ourselves. Inner peace will ensure safety for the world and bring about real peace in the world as a whole. Because the peace of the world cannot happen simply by dialogue or debate or waging war in the name of peace. But what we can learn from history is that external wars, for various reasons, have never brought about lasting peace in the world. All wars have managed to achieve is to bring about suffering in our human community. More justified than the external wars are the wars we must wage inside ourselves. The war inside the mind which we must wage is a war that does not lead to casualties or cruelty. It is a war by which we must face up to our real enemy, which is the defilements in our own minds, whether it be the defilements of greed, hatred, or delusion, which are latent in our minds. These are our real enemies, the enemies of all beings in the world. Each time we go onto the battlefield of the mind, although there are no casualties, there's nothing to cry about from the losses of the battle, but to the contrary, at all levels of this battle inside, the more we manage to overcome our enemies on the battlefield of the mind, the more happiness will come to us. A sort of happiness which has no admixture of suffering at all. This happiness will be established in our mind in the place of suffering. So real peace in the world can only come about when everyone in the world can bring their mind to a standstill, to attain inner peace inside themselves. It cannot happen by the power of supernatural beings, but it has to come from ourselves. It has to come from the grassroots efforts of individual people, cooperating together, and the peace of each individual person will combine to protect the whole of our planet, and at that time all the people in the world and the world itself will come across true and lasting peace. This is something which people have been searching for since time immemorial. But what we discover is that our efforts have been in vain, because we have been looking for peace in the wrong place. We have overlooked the fact that the peace we are looking for already exists inside ourselves. In fact, the real peace, the real success and fulfillment, is not something which we have to look around ourselves for. We can find all of these things inside ourselves, at the center of our body, at the seventh base of our own mind. And each person can find it in their own mind just as we can, with no exceptions in respect to creed, nationality or religion. By bringing our mind to a standstill at this point, and nowhere else. Because if we focus our mind anywhere else, we cannot meet up with inner peace. We need to rest our mind gently at this point, and in this way we can liberate ourselves and liberate the whole of humankind from the control of the defilements in our minds, in a permanent way. In fact, true peace already exists in our mind. We have more than enough peace in our mind to share with others in the world. All that is required is that we bring our mind to a standstill and allow our mind to become peaceful, bright, and clear. In order to attain inner peace inside ourselves as a refuge which is able to bring about real peace in the world. If all of us were able to attain inner peace inside ourselves, we would touch on great happiness. We would have a refuge inside ourselves, and we will feel at ease and secure in every place we go. Our mind would be perfused with joy right from the moment we first attain inner peace in ourselves, bright and clear in the center of our body. Inner peace at the center of our body. Once enough people in the world meditate and attain inner peace within themselves, the real signs of peace would start to happen in the world, starting from ourselves first and gradually spreading outwards to the whole of the world. This will be the witness to the fact that our life has come to a point of fulfillment, that we experience only happiness no matter what lifetime we will arise in. To have fulfillment in life, from this time forth, we will be someone who has no further ill will or vengeance or negative retribution catching up with us, no matter how many more lifetimes we must be born for. We will achieve success in every task we turn our hand to from this lifetime onwards. We will be able to see peace in its long-term form, and this could be achieved by training ourselves in meditation each and every day. In fact, meditation is something universal, which anyone in the world can practice. It doesn't depend on one's beliefs. It is as much a part of human life as breathing in and out. It ought to be as regular a part of our daily routine as brushing our teeth or combing our hair. By meditation, we can gradually add to the peace inside ourselves every day. And if we manage this within our human lifespan, the world will change for the better, to become a more peaceful and harmonious place. If people are able to attain this inner peace inside themselves, they will meet up with real happiness, a happiness which is true happiness, not like the thing which we normally assume is happiness, but which in fact is only a pale reflection of the real thing. Once we have true happiness inside, this happiness will expand to those around us in our surroundings, to our families, our communities, and eventually our whole nation and the whole world. In such a way, peace will spread throughout the world in a subtle but determined way, simply by the fact that people will have attained the true refuge inside themselves. Thus, inner peace is something that is very important. We should all try to attain inner peace for ourselves, and today, the purpose of our meditation practice is to attain this inner peace for ourselves. And the way we can do this is by bringing our mind to a standstill at the center of our body by imagining the image of a bright, clear crystal ball or a bright, clear Buddha image, bringing our mind to a standstill inside that bright, clear image inside ourselves. And, in order that no thoughts crop up in our mind, we may also repeat silently to ourselves the sound of the mantra, Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, over and over again, consistently and continuously, while maintaining our mind at a standstill at the center of the body, at a point 2 finger breadths above the level of our navel. It is all we need to do in our meditation practice. There's nothing else apart from this we have to do. If we can do this and nothing else, we will soon attain inner peace inside ourselves. As a result of such practice, all of us will have a united vision to arrive at peace in our world. Once we understand one another in the world, true peace will emerge as soon as all of our minds are refined to the point that we can be witness to the peace and purity inside ourselves. Whether it be a clear sphere or a clear Buddha image inside ourselves with our eyes open or closed. And on the basis of all of the merit we have accrued by our practice, we should make the wish that through the considerable merit of our attainment in the meditation, that the merit of our meditation together on this occasion will protect the world, so that all beings in the world, whether of any race, religion or creed, experience real peace, so that all beings in the world may give up fighting amongst themselves, but instead be protected by peace and loving kindness, compassion from this moment forth. May all of you rest your mind in peace at the center of your body, with a bright, clear crystal ball at the center of your body, with a bright, clear Buddha image at the center of your body, until the inner brightness arises for you. Brightness which will come from the mind that is filled with compassion and loving kindness for one's fellow man, which is the basis of real peace in the world. So now, all of you should make the effort to attain inner peace inside yourself. Now each their own meditation in silence for a few more moments until we come to the appropriate time.
Sabba Buddhanupavena, Sabba Dhammanupavena, Sabba Sankhanupavena Sattha Soti Bhavantu Te. So if you'd like to come to the end of your meditation for today, you can gradually open your eyes again. If you feel at all uncomfortable, then slowly try changing to a more comfortable position before gradually finishing your practice. So to return to our subject matter for today, did you know that a smile uses a smaller number of muscles in your face than a frown? So why not smile instead and let your face relax for a change? Notice whether, when you smile, your feelings change or not. This is also a question that has puzzled scientists. Which comes first, the smile or the happiness? Some say that you have to be happy first before you can smile. But the scientific evidence shows that even faking a smile sparks off a chemical reaction in the brain that releases certain hormones, including dopamine and serotonin, which increase your feeling of happiness. So even if you're not happy and you smile, it will lead you to feel happier. Thus, you can see that there is good reason to suppose that happiness is something that we all have the freedom to choose, and which is not merely dependent on the factors and circumstances in the outside world. This is by way of introduction to the subject of real happiness. You may ask yourself the reason why people seem to find so much difficulty in attaining happiness in life. Are we searching perhaps in the wrong place? Another way of putting the question is why, if human nature is supposed to be happy, don't we automatically feel happy all the whole time? The answer to this question is that although deep inside we may feel happy, on the surface our mind is clouded by impurities, which in everyday life we call defilements, but in the context of meditation we call hindrances. If we don't know about these obstacles, or we can't keep up with the way that they hijack the mind, then they will not only ruin our meditation, but they will possibly impede access to happiness in our lives as well. If the mind is free from such obstacles, it is transparent, clear and bright, like the water in this glass. It's so clear that when you look through it, you get an accurate picture of the reality of the world around you. The hindrances we experience in meditation are like impurities that remain in our mind. Just as our body is weakened by bacteria or viruses that don't belong there, in the same way the mind is weakened by impurities, or as we see them expressed, bad habits. These illnesses of the mind can be broken down into 3 categories: greed, hatred, and delusion, each of which have different characteristics in the way they affect the mind. And from these 3 categories, as they relate to our meditation, we expand the detail into 5 different problems that tend to occur in meditation, otherwise known as the 5 hindrances. Let's see how the 3 sorts of defilements and the 5 hindrances are related, and then we'll look at each of the hindrances and how they can be overcome, because if all 5 release their hold on your mind, then you will automatically touch upon that inner clarity and happiness that we all aspire to in our meditation. The first category of defilement is greed, wanting to get something, especially given the opportunity, wanting to cheat people or steal from others. Greed or desire for things, especially those things obtained dishonestly, will affect our meditation adversely. Our mind will fall under the sway not of a streetcar named desire, but by a hindrance named sense desire. It will color our perception of things, making it hard to see the world as it really is. Just like a drop of ink that taints the clarity of clear water in a glass, you can appreciate that greed can have a big effect on the mind as well. Like colored ink, it is not so serious that we cannot see the world around us anymore, although we may perceive reality to be a different color from the actuality. However, it will take a long time before this ink separates from the water. In the same way, for a sense desire, as you may know from experience, the effects of this defilement may not be so serious. You may steal or become obsessed as the worst consequences of this defilement, but as with things like heartbreak, it takes a long time to break free from the effects of the defilement. We can suffer from too much or too little of this defilement as it relates to our meditation. In meditation, if we have too much desire for results in our meditation, we will make too much effort of the wrong sort, try to rush and control our meditation results, causing tension in our forehead or across our shoulders. How can we solve this problem? well, we need to readjust our balance of attention to be gentler in our application of the mind. We must not allow ourselves to have expectations when we are meditating, simply to observe our experience instead. On the other hand, there are those who make too little effort in their meditation. They just let their mind wander, a problem which can be solved by placing one's mind a little more firmly on the object of meditation. Another facet of investing too little energy in your meditation is that you may even fall asleep while meditating, even though you may have had enough sleep. In such a case, the problem comes from lack of earnest in meditation. How can you overcome such a hindrance? According to traditional advice in the scriptures, if you feel sleepy when meditating, you should not indulge the drowsiness that befalls you. You should reflect on the meditation technique you've learned, ponder over it, and examine it closely with your mind. You should make sure you haven't forgotten to repeat the mantra Samarahang to yourself, and perhaps speed up or slow down the repetition to dispel the sleepiness. You can try pulling both earlobes and rubbing your limbs with your hand. You can try washing your face with water and perhaps drinking more water. You should try to arouse as much light as possible in your meditation, or sit for meditation in a bright place. You might try walking meditation in between your usual sessions of sitting meditation. If all the above fail, don't give up, but accept that you may be too short of sleep to meditate effectively, in which case you need to lie down to take a quick power nap. Then when you're feeling refreshed, come back to your meditation and try again. The second sort of defilement or hindrance in the mind is hatred, which means wanting to harm others when they do something to upset you. The thought of assaulting other people, which if left uncontrolled, will become vengefulness. Even while we are meditating, we might come across a less extreme form of this emotion, which is known as ill will. When we experience unwanted emotions such as the pain in our knees, ill will can poison our perception of things, making it hard to see things as they really are. If you imagine the water bubbling up in the glass here is not bubbling because of the effervescent tablet, but because it's boiling hot, then this would be a very good metaphor for the effect of hatred or anger on the mind. If such a hindrance arises, what can be done to solve the problem? Anger can have a serious effect on our mind. We can be beside ourselves with anger and do things when we get mad that could easily put us behind bars. We might assault or insult others when we are mad, which is no surprise because we can't even think clearly. However, it doesn't usually take very long for the anger to go. It often goes away as quickly as it arrived, leaving you wondering how you got so mad in the first place. Similarly, the effects of this type of defilement are serious but short-lived. The way to overcome this particular sort of hindrance, known as ill will, is to let go instead of resisting the experience, or study the experience as if it is already at the center of the body, simply by observing it from the point at the center of the body. This is sometimes easier said than done. What you can do to make things easier, if you know that you are of the sort of person who is short-tempered, is to learn how to meditate upon loving kindness. The third category of obstacle in the mind is ignorance or delusion, seeing right things as wrong or wrong things as right, like generosity, which everyone knows is good and encourages people to help one another. But some people, overcome by delusion, claim that generosity should be avoided because it encourages people to be lazy. When we don't know or we hesitate in our meditation, these can both be called ignorance because they will cause our mind to be clouded instead of clear. Just as mud in water can obscure its clarity, ignorance or delusion can seriously obscure our clarity of mind. The problem with ignorance is that we don't know that we don't know. Because of that ignorance, we can slip into all the bad behaviors that we might do when we are mad or obsessed, because we can hardly discern the reality of the world while we are deluded. Furthermore, it takes a long time for the delusion to go away. This is why the defilement of delusion in the mind is considered both serious and long-lived. The best workaround is to wait for the sediment of delusion to settle in our mind by calming the mind in meditation. Just like the mud in the glass, if left unstirred for long enough, it will eventually settle to the bottom, leaving a degree of clarity at the top. Only in this way can we get at least a usable part of the mind by which we can see the world according to its reality. In the beginning, we calm the mind with meditation so that we can start to recognize the presence of the defilements in the mind. Later, as the mind becomes more powerful, we can use the meditation to start to remove the defilements from the sediment in the mind as well. One way delusion expresses itself in the mind is by having an excess of thoughts. Thoughts can be reduced by applying the mind more strongly at the center or thinking through unresolved issues to closure. You can try just ignoring the thoughts or making more use of the mantra Samma Arahang. If all these fail, you can reset the mind by opening your eyes and closing them again. Delusion can always express itself in meditation also in terms of doubts which arise in the mind. When you think, why does it have to be like this? Or, how come it's not the same as yesterday? It's not the first question that will clutter up your mind, but the third or the fourth. As soon as you realize that there is a question in your mind, you have to draw a figurative line under it before it proliferates. You should try to be confident that you are on the right track and don't let questions undermine the continuity of your meditation. Doubt arising in your meditation is the same. You should try your best to make sure that there is no remaining doubt in your mind, and the way you can reduce it is to study the meditation technique in theory until you are confident, or alternatively take your questions to ask a teacher or a friend who is more experienced on the path than you. Also, some way derived from ignorance, but on a more subtle level, is the category of strange phenomena which occur differently for different people just at the point where their meditation is about to improve dramatically. Some people feel hot, some people feel hungry, some people feel as if they are floating and actually reach out to grab the meditation mat to stop themselves from floating away because the feeling is so realistic. Some people feel as if their body has disappeared altogether. Although these experiences have different forms, these strange phenomena all have the same effect. They will distract you from your meditation unless you ignore them. They are like unwelcome guests that come to your house. If you take no notice of them, then they will go away by themselves. All you need to do if such special hindrances arise is to carry on with your meditation while pretending you're not interested. Before long, the distraction will go away and your mind will settle down to a complete standstill. So in conclusion, there are 5 sorts of hindrances that seek to upset our success in meditation. Our meditation is a constant fight against these hindrances. However, once we can manage to overcome them, then our mind will immediately become unified or one-pointed. These hindrances go some way to explain why the happiness we have latent in our mind can be so easily obscured by the ups and downs we experience in our everyday life. So now we come to time for questions, and today's first question comes from Mr. Top of Thailand. Here comes the question. I've been wondering about the sort of thoughts that go around and around in my head, especially during lockdown. What attitudes would be good to help me shed obsessive thoughts from my mind? Hi there, Mr. Top, and thank you for your question. In answer to this, I would like to share the teachings of our Venerable Dhammajo in Thailand, who advised that there are 4 trainings that will help you shed unwanted thoughts from your mind and help you settle your mind down more easily to meditate. Firstly, you need to try to train yourself to see the world as it really is. Don't be overly optimistic or pessimistic, but see the world according to reality, in accordance with the 8 so-called loka dhamma, gain and loss, promotion and demotion, praise and gossip, happiness and suffering. These 8 vicissitudes constantly reappear in our lives, so we need to make sure that they do not shake us from our resolve when they touch us, but in spite of these vicissitudes, keep our minds centered and still, applying this approach in our daily lives. Secondly, you should try to keep your mind joyous, wholesome, at ease, and refreshed the whole of the time. If you find that you're getting irritable, moody, quick-tempered, impatient, or sulky, be quick to discard these states of mind rather than clinging to them, and the mind will become more radiant and experience soothing coolness. Next, try to appreciate the whole human race as fellow experiences of suffering, birth, aging, sickness, and death. Wherever we are, we share the same existential conditions with everyone else in this world. The thing we will gain is that our mind will be put at ease, and we will be free of irritation or short-temperedness. Apart from being at ease, whether sitting, lying down, standing, or walking, we will have the feeling that we are surrounded by friends. The feeling will arise by itself. The more compassion we feel, the more feeling of ease will return to us, and when we recollect the center of the body, it will be easy for us because the mind is already free of petty details. If we don't sweat the small stuff, we'll be able to focus on the big issues, such as making a breakthrough in our meditation. If anything else clouds the mind, we should allow it to die down. And lastly, try to relativize the state of the world as being ultimately empty and transitory. It will allow you to undertake the tasks and to the full without getting caught up in them. If you have equanimity, it will be really easy to attain this state of mastery. Once the mind is at ease, even before you've crossed your legs or gotten into the half lotus position, the mind is already drawn inward, because you already have been training your mind from the moment of waking until the moment you go to bed at night. Use your surroundings in your daily life as tools to help you train the mind, and it will maintain a sense of joyousness, and the stopping of the mind will happen by itself. Even though we search for the stopping and equanimity of the mind, we sometimes fail to find it because in our daily lives we don't train our state of mind. If we were to train ourselves properly to spark joy in our lives, the stopping and equanimity of the mind will arise together with an ease of mind in our everyday life. My second question comes from Cleopatra of Arcadia, California. Hi, Cleopatra. I hope you are keeping well. The question you asked was, what does Buddhism say regarding the topic of jealousy, and how does meditation assist individuals or couples who have a jealous streak, especially the sort of people who get madly envious even in apparently non-threatening situations? Okay, I assume for the purpose of answering this question that you are not the jealous one, but that you are on the receiving end of a jealous reaction. Generally speaking, Buddhists do not encourage jealousy, but rather they encourage big-heartedness. The main virtue to be cultivated is sympathetic joy, otherwise known as mudita, which rejoices in the good deeds others have done or good things that they receive, instead of being jealous, the latter of which is seen to be a toxic emotion. My answer doesn't really use meditation as an antidote to jealous emotions, but emphasizes other Buddhist trainings. In the temple, saying sadhu a lot, when they see others doing good deeds seems to be the main way congregation members encourage big-heartedness. In a couple, remaining faithful is also seen as a virtue. And when a couple is in love with one another, although ideally love should not be clingy or possessive, sometimes it can be like that, even to the point of mental illness. There was a quote I came across recently by the Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh that said, "You must love in such a way that the person you love feels free." Where loving freely is about letting ourselves and others be themselves, as they are, without any expectations to change them. I guess whatever the nature of the love, whether it is open or possessive sort of love, if it sustains a couple, other people should probably have to respect their wishes. To overcome suspicion in a relationship that is jealously possessive, it is important to be open and accountable, minimizing secrecy. To this end, I have heard some couples have a shared or family email account, just like they have a shared bank account, so that both partners can see what communications are coming in and going out. Maybe communicating via such an email address instead of texting to an individual phone would prevent the possibility of suspicion. It would be a pity to limit communications outside your couple or become a nation of two while we're all stuck in self-isolation. If partners in a couple have opposite-sex friends outside their marriage, ideally they should try to treat them in an appropriate way. If of a similar age, treating them like a brother or a sister. If they're older, treating them like an uncle or an aunt. Or if younger, treating them like a son or a daughter. It does take quite a lot of assuredness on part of a couple to be open with others in this way, though. Please bear in mind that it may be more commonplace for Westerners and the younger generation to be in non-romantic friendships with the opposite sex than for older people or people from Asian or more traditional cultures. I hope this has answered your question. Before today, let me finish up with a quick mention about temple support and a news update about the availability of meditation teaching in English. For those who like to visit the temple in Azusa to bring offerings, please be informed that as pandemic case rates are on the rise again, our temple is still using the offering site in the parking lot next to the main temple building between 10 and 11 a.m. each day. If you have trouble with the passcode on the gate or wish to visit at a different time, please call Jenny on 562-716-2961. You can bring offerings of food each day between 10 and 10:45 a.m. More recently, every day there is a short ceremony for requesting 5 precepts, offering the midday meal, and receiving a blessing between 10:45 and 11:15 a.m. And on Friday, this ceremony is conducted in English. For those unable to visit in person, all the other ways of accepting money transfers to DIMC are still available, whether it be mailing checks, bank transfer, Zelle, or Venmo. Needless to say, the whole temple would like to rejoice in the merit of all continuing to take the opportunity to support the temple in this way. For all the reasons mentioned before, at the temple there are still no face-to-face teaching sessions for the interim. You can, however, continue to access Dhamma teachings in English through several convenient channels. For aficionados of the Zoom channels, you can access the Inner Peace channel content by joining the Zoom channel ID 970-1192-2337, and the meeting passcode is 072. And as you will see from the program schedule on the slide, content is available for most of the day now, 7 days a week, and brings together all the usual programming from our temple with the English and Spanish content from various branches across the US. The times shown in this slide are for the West Coast. For content local to Azusa, you can continue to follow teachings at the YouTube channel called Peace Point Meditation or the Facebook page of Peace Point Meditation. For those of you particularly interested in my talks, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, which I have set up in my own name. According to the current Peace Point schedule, every Sunday morning you have got me with live material and archived material on alternating Sundays. Venerable Sopon appears every Thursday evening. The Monday and Friday Peace Silence sessions from Peace Point have been postponed for the interim, going to even more monks being away in Thailand. Families listening in may be interested in a special show for children in English known as Shining Stars that goes out between 6 and 6:30 p.m. every Monday evening, with bedtime stories and meditation short enough to keep the attention of younger listeners. Outside of the live streams and on-demand programming, you can also download the MindGem app for free, allowing you to listen to meditation and Dhamma talks in English on your cell phone, even when you're offline, and it now has push notifications to keep you up to date with upcoming activities on the Inner Peace channel. So this session, we have looked at the topic of aim in life and the 5 hindrances. For my next live session online with you, which will, fingers crossed, be a week on Sunday morning, I'll revisit the topic of liberation, course, and fine-tuning for the mind, where, again, the recording had some problems back in October 2020. With measure, I would like to remind viewers you can email your questions about meditation or what you have heard in the lecture to the email address that you can see spelled out on the slide. But I'll do my best to answer these on my next session. In the meantime, try to stay healthy, avoid recklessness or complacency in the face of the virus, maintain a positive mood, speak only positive words, forgive others, extend good wishes to others, and meditate daily. Hopefully, as a result of today's session, you will have more clarity about your aim in life and be better able to overcome hindrances in your meditation. So today, this is me, Phra Nicholas, signing off for the session. So long, folks, and stay safe.